Darrius Clemons headed to the transfer portal. Not a huge surprise. Hasn't got a lot of opportunity. Hasn't earned a lot of opportunity in his 2 years at Michigan. You talk about an average receiving core. Nobody kind of emerged to bump out some of those guys like a Cornelius Johnson from their spot. And, that's on them. That's also a credit to what those guys have done. You could call it an average receiving core in general, which I agree with. But those guys still played some good football at times, made some big plays, were reliable. So Roman Wilson likely to go, Cornelius Johnson out of eligibility. Here are your list of Michigan scholarship receivers. And again, some of these guys could leave too, to a couple places, but Peyton O'Leary, Christian Dixon, Tyler Morris, and then the freshman Kendrick Bell, Carmelo English, Fred Moore, and Samaj Morgan. They've targeted a few guys in the transfer portal. They're going to have to continue to do that because you need some outside receivers, and I think you need some overall more talent there.
You do, and I really feel bad. Go ahead.
No, I just interrupt real quick. Apparently on Twitter, right as we started recording, Christian Dixon is saying he's playing defense now.
Wow.
So
he said he's switching lanes.
Well, he did. So, he did come back. I don't know, but apparently he's not transferring and he's not playing wide receiver. So whatever that means. Sorry, continue.
Interesting. I think Darrius Clemons. It's funny because remember when Jim Harbaugh called that the freak show of receivers, Amarian Walker, Darrius Clemons, and Tyler Morris. Tyler Morris is really the one that's had the most success, and we'd heard unbelievable things about these guys. But when it comes down to it, guys, Clemons, was banged up quite a bit, missed a lot of practice, we heard. And if you want to play, you better be out there, right, competing. And I think it just didn't work out for whatever reason. It's unfortunate. It wouldn't stun me. Would it stun you if Amorian Walker moved back to wide receiver? And
they need corners too.
They do need corners too. So you got Will Johnson, and man, what a job Josh Wallace did too. You can always go out and find the next Josh Wallace if you're lucky. But yeah, so we'll see how it plays out. Like you said, when it comes to knowing what this team's going to be next year, we don't know who's going to be on this team. So, but whatever, guys. You know what? I'm not concerned about it at this point. I'm just still kind of basking in the glow of this championship. We still got a parade. We still got a celebration to cover at Chrysler Center on Saturday night, and we got Michigan basketball. So we are all good. Yeah.
There you go.
Just a discernible groan for me on the Michigan basketball, which we'll talk about that in a second. Clemons, that's a guy that I think a lot of and again, it's always possible that he could maybe pull back out of the portal and come back to Michigan. I don't know if that'll be the case or not, but for me, it won't be probably. But for me, I think a lot of his issues stemmed around the difference between being hurt and being injured. You're going to get those bumps and bruises in college football. And they even were not so subtle about it when we talked in fall camp, saying that, he needed to practice more. They needed to see more from him to give him that trust and give him those opportunities. And ultimately he was just a bit player this year. So it's disappointing. He was a 4-star guy and a pretty big ad in that recruiting cycle right before or right after they beat Ohio State in 2021. They had that little run where they got, Derek Moore and Zeke Berry and Keon Saab. But that's college football. These guys are all lotto tickets. You put them all in the room, you develop them, and you see who emerges from it. And, out of that young wide receiver room, you have a promising guy in Tyler Morris. You have Samaj Morgan. We know they like Frederick Moore a lot. So it's just it's all about opportunity. You wish him well. I think they need to probably add someone. Seeing Jamal Banks go to Nebraska was a little bit of a bummer. That was a guy that you thought had a pretty good shot of winding up at Michigan, but some work to do there. So we'll see what happens. You wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, it is funny that this offense, especially if JJ goes and Blake will be gone. I mean, it's going to look really different. You still have talent, especially the offensive line is going to be revamped. The receiving core that has looked so similar, especially with you just see number 6 lined up, kind of in his stance out there at the X receiver spot, and Corum in the backfield, and Keegan and Zinter and Barnhart and those guys in there. It's going to look different, but you're going to need guys to step up. And as we all mentioned, the transfer portal, obviously, something that they can hit there as well for some of these positions.